Every single case where a U.S. voting machine has been analyzed by competent security researchers, they have found vulnerabilities that would let someone inject malicious software and change election data. Every single case.
In September, a lawsuit was filed in federal court against Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson for certifying Michigan's 2020 presidential election when they didn't have the legal authority to do so. How is that possible, you ask? Let's rewind. Shortly after the 2000 Bush v. Gore election fiasco ended up in the Supreme Court, Congress passed the Help America Vote Act, or HAVA, of 2002 to make sweeping reforms to the nation's voting systems. The act also created the Election Assistance Commission, EAC, an oversight board who assists the states with HAVA compliance, distribute HAVA allocated funds, and to certify voting equipment with strict standards. One of the first things the EAC did was create what's known as the Voluntary Voting System Guidelines, known as the VVSG, a set of standards regarding all aspects of the voting process. These guidelines focus on both the security and transparency of our elections, including rules designed to prevent foreign or domestic interference, and for creating a visible record of exactly what happened, so that the public believes that we do have, in fact, a voting system that is fair. VVSG compliance is voluntary because the federal government cannot tell the states how to run elections. But what if the federal government promises millions of dollars for new voting equipment systems if a state adopts the VVSG? Michigan, along with the majority of other states, did just that, and now compliance of the voluntary voting system guidelines is mandatory. One of the focal points of the VVSG standard is the certification and credentialing of tabulation machines to ensure cybersecurity in our election system. By the election of 2020, 83 Michigan counties adopted one of three election systems: Dominion, ES&S, and Hard Verity. According to the EAC, companies and laboratories must go through a certification process to test the equipment and give an opinion as to whether or not a voting system is in fact credentialed. Non-certified companies cannot. According to reports, ES&S was not credentialed for use in the 2020 election, meaning 24 counties used equipment that went against the VVSG, even though the law requires it. 24 counties. If 24 Michigan counties used uncertified systems, then the certification of the 2020 election by Governor Whitmer and Secretary of State Benson is invalid. What about those Dominion machines? Haven't we heard about them? The voting system test laboratory in charge of certifying Dominion machines is ProV&V. Housed in an unmarked building in Huntsville, Alabama, ProV&V certified the Dominion machines in 2019 for use in the 2020 election. However, according to public records, ProV&V received their accreditation in 2016, but let it lapse 2 years later in 2018. This is no trivial oversight. Laboratory accreditation is required to evaluate key staff for conflicts of interest, from manufacturers, foreign or domestic powers, as well as updating technical knowledge of current security issues. It gets worse. When investigators looked at Dominion's Democracy Suite 5.5 software configuration, they realized it was 2 generations older than the software that was officially certified for the 2020 election. That's right. Dominion machines used unaccredited software and were certified by ProV&V, a test laboratory that was not legally able to certify. That means election results in 48 more counties should be invalidated. The election in Michigan should not have been certified. The plaintiffs are asking for 3 remedies. Declaratory relief that the machines used in 24 counties weren't certified and the 2020 election is invalid. It must be decertified and rerun without using the equipment in violation of Michigan law. Number 2, the preservation of all election data, which is part of the transparency requirements of the system. Under current law, it is disappearing because the 22-month mandatory preservation has expired. While there is no requirement for destruction, plaintiffs are asking the court to order preservation through a temporary restraining order. And 3, declaratory relief that no machines be used in Michigan elections unless they're certified. As of today, none of the electronic voting systems in Michigan are compliant for use in the 2022 Michigan general election on November 8th. Be warned, it's 2020 all over again. This information has been sponsored by the America Project, the Election Integrity Funded Force, Michigan Voters, and election clerk Sharon Olson of the Irving Township of Berry County.